you spent a lot of time in the minors for the 16 years you played. 12 of those off seasons, you were always getting your education, going to school. Why?
Well, the first one, the night that I graduated from high school, I was 17 years old, June. In those days, no draft. So all the teams that weren't interested could come to the house. So there were, at that time, I don't know, there was 16, 17, 18 teams make an offer. I had a scholarship offer from Florida State, and my mother wanted me to do that. She was big into education. It would have been a great opportunity. I had a guy named Danny Litweiler that was a legendary coach. Looking back, well, I can't. The money was helped us. But if you just took the money aside, it'd have been better because I'd have matured. The only credit I did and I do give myself for my professional career was I must have loved the game. I had toughness I didn't know because my first 6 years, 5 years, I broke stuff. Dislocated my shoulder twice, got cracked in my knee, tore a muscle in my back, had this with the arm. And I played another 10 years. So why? Because I loved it and I could deal with the pain. But the deal with the night that they offered the bonus, my dad and me, I wanted to sign, he wanted me to sign. My mother wanted me to go to school. So there was a college scholarship portion as part of the deal. And I promised her that I would go to college. Looking back, I was taught right. You make a commitment, which is a promise. I made a promise, so I did it. But I remember a lot of times driving, trying to stay awake, going to the ballpark or from school. And then the last part was a law school, and I realized I wasn't going to make it, and I needed to get another career.
Got it. And your longtime second wife, Elaine, was telling me the other day when I was talking to her, you guys moved something like 57 times because you were playing one place during the year, off season you were at school, bouncing around, and by Elaine's accounts, you guys were borderline destitute, poor. Certainly couldn't travel, couldn't buy a house. What did that teach you?
When I started law school in '73, I played 2 more years, and then I played 3 years as a player coach. So during those law school years, we wouldn't go to a mall because Elaine said, why go to a mall and I feel like I want that dress or this dress. So we stayed away from the mall. So we had nothing extra. But the investment was to be an attorney, and there are a lot of times, I'm not sure what she told you, but she thought she was marrying a lawyer, not a manager. But
did she really believe that at the time?
Yeah, I believed it too. Except in '79, in that second year in AAA, the opportunity of the White Sox came, and Mr. Vex said, I won't give you this job in '80 unless you take the bar. Because, I'd have bet everything I owned that I'd have been a lawyer. I never knew I was going to survive 30 plus years. Nobody knew.
And if I could back up momentarily, when times were tight, what did that teach you about money and savings?
Well, when you ain't got it, you can't spend it. Then the beautiful part about Elaine is it wasn't like she was raised with all the niceties and a lot of the luxuries. So we were well aware. We had been raised where you have what you have, and that's what you spend. You don't complain, and if you want something better, you work at it. So you learn the value. You think about her in law school making her own clothes. We were always eating at some cut rate. This place had the deal. So my last 2 or 3 years AAA as a player, and then 3 as a manager, made 15 grand. And so being careful with that, we were able to get through the winter, didn't incur law school debt, just as long as we were careful. So to this day, she's never been comfortable that we have enough to splurge, and she's
Your wife's 8 months pregnant, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and a big move could potentially be in store for you. How does that upend your guys' world? I'd imagine she was less than thrilled at the time, or at minimum conflicted.
Well, the whole thing is a fairy tale. And we had already decided, 2 or 3 years of, if nothing's happening, I'm going to be a lawyer. You can't They offer the job. Elaine's she's a month from delivering. We had already made plans to stay in Des Moines. Roland Heumann, GM, calls at like 1 o'clock. In fact, she had just had an appointment with the doctor. We were having lunch. I called back. I thought they were going to bring up the catcher. He said, no, we're going to call a press conference at 3 o'clock, and we're going to announce you as a manager if you want it. If not, you have no now 3 to accept this. Now we're going to get somebody else. So I go back, and I says, guess what? It shocked her. I mean, I'm in shock. We have a little different memory of that. I think she says that she argued against it, but I wouldn't have. There's no way that I believe that, because if she had said no, I wouldn't have taken it. I think the truth is she probably didn't want it to happen because she didn't want to be. It's her first kid. It has a great ending, though. At that point, just a few years before, there's this amazing group of ladies in Chicago that started La Leche League. So Mary White, who was one of the original 7 La Leche League, contacts the White Sox. Her husband is Greg White, who was the physician that had all the expertise. So they meet Elaine, and Elaine meets La Leche League ladies. Dr. Greg White is the guy that catches Bianca when she's born. So it didn't make sense to move, but it had an unbelievable ending because Elaine got to meet these legendary ladies and Dr. Greg White. And then a couple of years later, when Devin was born, his son Bill, Dr. Bill, he caught the babies. So it's impossible that it could have happened the way it happened, but it happened.